Hey everyone, Dr. Aric here, and have you ever noticed or wondered why you always get sick after you're stressed or you go through a stressful period? Well, it's not a coincidence. It's actually how the body works. I'm going to unpack that because when we understand that, it means when we do go through those stressful seasons, we can help support our body so we ideally do not get sick. So when we get stressed, one of our major stress hormones, cortisol, a lot of you have probably heard of it, that really is going to really drain our immune system. So if I unpack this a little bit, cortisol for everyone, typically everyone, is always highest in the morning. But when it spikes too high or it spikes too high in the morning or any other part of the day, that's where it can be very dangerous and kind of set the rest of our day up to be more harmful for our immune system. So I'm going to show you a snapshot of an actual patient's results, really just their case a little bit. So they had a very, very high cortisol in the morning, and then it flatlined really in the afternoon. You still want some cortisol throughout the day, and what that led to and what that can lead to is decreased immune system, leaky gut syndrome, increase inflammation. It can also disrupt your thyroid and your sex hormones, okay? And that's just a little bit of what it can do when that cortisol spikes. Now, another thing for this patient case, they had low IgA. What you're looking at there, that's the first line of defense for your immune systems. Antibodies for your gut lining, your sinuses, and really your mucosal lining. So that's your first line of defense. So when that's low, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get sick. Along with vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D is going to go down. Vitamin D is insanely important for your immune system. And then that gut being imbalanced, 60 to 70% of your immune system is actually in your gut. Some sources say 70 to 80% is even in your gut. So that's all that can happen when someone goes through a stressful period. We look at their labs and we can see that. We know their immune system is compromised. Now, where does stress start? A lot of times stress is going to start in the brain. Right? And what happens when we have that stress that targets our brain, we have our HPA axis, which is our hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. Hypothalamus, pituitary are two glands that regulate a lot of our hormones. In this instance, with your HPA axis, it regulates and communicates with your adrenal glands, which is where cortisol comes from, where those stress hormones come from. So when we try to handle stress, very typically we're not doing enough to address this entire axis, this entire system. This is your stress system, so it's important we regulate that, especially so we can avoid or prevent going through a sick season after we just go through a very stressful season, right? Now, we can't always control the amount of stress we're impacted by that we have in our life, but we can always improve our body's ability to handle stress, right? So it's important we focus on this, and how we do that is our approach here, all right? If you can look at this here, our approach, first we want to take a look at your adrenal status. Are your adrenals, are they running on empty? Have they been running on cortisol, your stress hormones, for far too long? Because our adrenals, that cortisol is meant to activate for a short season, that fight or flight, but we're not meant to live on fight or flight. So when we do, it can weaken that immune system, everything I just spoken to. What's our gut immune connection? Remember I said 70 to 80% of your immune system can be in your gut. So it's important we strengthen that and we get an idea of how well that's doing, because if something like your SIGA is low, it means you're really going to struggle to have a intact and a strong immune system. Nutrient depletion. Okay, cortisol is going to drain nutrients, especially vitamin B, vitamin C, which are essential for our health, and your inflammatory load or inflammatory burden. So how our body is going to try to pick up slack for the immune system is it's going to build a lot of smoldering inflammation underneath. You can see that in numbers like ferritin or CRP or homocysteine. You can see that in your labs. And then the other thing, your blood sugar control. So blood sugar, cortisol, a byproduct of cortisol, which I've been speaking about, is going to go through a process called gluconeogenesis, which basically means it just makes blood sugar, okay? So as we go through a stressful period, we have cortisol spikes, we have adrenal balances that are out of sync. What can happen is our blood sugar, we can have these blood sugar swings that all they do is they weaken our immune system even further. You've heard what I've spoken on about sugar and whatnot. So when it comes to going through a stressful season, to make sure that doesn't lead into a sick season or an immune weakened system, we have to focus on your HPA axis. We have to focus on the entire system, which you see here, okay? So that is everything to help you guys avoid a sick season after you're going through a stress season.